Now, I want to make it clear right from the start that the scene in The Empire Strikes Back, right after Luke leaves Dagobah, abandoning his training, and Obi-Wan's Force Ghost says, "That boy is our last hope," and Yoda responds by saying, "No, there is another," was obviously supposed to mean Leia was the other hope, and should have always meant Leia was the other hope. But thanks to the prequels, and I'm not trying to give hate to the prequels, that scene now makes Obi-Wan sound like a moron. Why do I say that? Well, before the prequels came along, we could just assume that Yoda was the one responsible for splitting up the Skywalker twins, and that Obi-Wan had no part in it or knowledge of it, meaning he wouldn't know Leia's true identity until right then and there when Yoda finally told him, and then would be able to reveal the secret to Luke in Return of the Jedi. We could have also just assumed that Yoda had sent Obi-Wan to Tatooine to watch Luke, telling him he was the son of Anakin, and that was that. Easy enough. However, in Revenge of the Sith, we see that Obi-Wan not only knows Luke has a twin sister, he's in the room when Padme gives birth after all, but is there when it is decided she will be given to Bail Organa for safekeeping. He even, if you recall, gets to hear Padme name the baby Leia, so there's no way that he doesn't know that she exists, and he should even know what her name is, assuming Bail doesn't change it, of course. So now we fast forward to A New Hope, and that famous message sent by Leia to Obi-Wan, her only hope. Unless old Ben has been out in the sun way too long, he should immediately know who Leia is, that she is the other Skywalker twin, and another hope should something go wrong with Luke. So why, a few years later during the events of The Empire Strikes Back, does he seem to forget about her? Or there is another possibility why he says this, and just hear me out before you get angry with what I'm about to propose, especially if you're a fan of Leia. Maybe Leia simply didn't have the same potential Luke did, or she was strong with the Force in a completely different way, one that might not make her a great Jedi. We know that Yoda says of Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, "A long time have I watched this one," when Luke is arguing he's ready to be trained as a Jedi. So it's likely Yoda's been also watching Leia through the Force, and perhaps has come to the conclusion she cannot be trained and has told this to Obi-Wan, which is why he makes his comment about Luke being their only hope. So what might make Leia untrainable? Well, perhaps she is already too strong-willed or opinionated to become a Jedi. Where Luke's lived a simple farmer life and been a dreamer, Leia is highly educated, and even became a senator, and likely has well-established views and beliefs. She is set in her life path where Luke was not, which might make him still able to be trained as a Jedi. Something similar could be said of Rey and why she will now be able to be trained. Anyway, Yoda may even look into Leia's future and see that she will always be involved in politics, which is something Yoda has learned Jedi should steer clear of after becoming a tool of the Republic in their war with the Separatists. It could also be that Leia does have an innate ability to sense and feel things through the Force, more so than Luke and maybe even your average Jedi, but the extent of her potential more or less ends there. We've seen so many examples of this power too, the first time being in The Empire Strikes Back when Luke is able to call out to her through the Force and show her where he is. In Return of the Jedi, she is then able to feel that her brother is still alive after the second Death Star blows up. In The Force Awakens, she can sense when Han dies. And even in the other sources of canon, we have been shown the same thing. In the Aftermath books, she can feel a shadow hanging over her unborn son. And in the Leia comic book series from Marvel, there is a moment while on Naboo, in the hangar on Theed, that she can sense some kind of residual dark side presence from where Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon once battled. This could also start to answer another huge problem. Why Vader was unable to sense Leia was Force sensitive despite all the times he encountered her. In the book Bloodline, we even learn that Leia was tortured for hours during the events of A New Hope, and never once did Vader seem to suspect something. He's following Luke down a trench in his TIE Advanced and can sense the pilot ahead of him is strong with the Force, but nothing after torturing Leia for hours? There are two possibilities here. The first would be she wasn't strong enough with the Force for him to sense it, which I think is unlikely. Again, I think Leia is strong with the Force, but in a different way than most Jedi are. Instead, the other possibility is since she is strong with being able to feel and sense things through the Force, she may be equally good at masking herself within the Force. And to put it in video game terms, this isn't something she can turn on or off or has control over, but rather more of a passive ability that is always active. This would explain why Vader doesn't sense anything from her, even when in close proximity to her for hours. It may also explain Yoda's doubts about her training. Maybe he reaches out through the Force and has a very hard time sensing her connection to it, and even he doesn't realize just how strong she is, because this passive protective power has fooled even him. So that leads us to another question. If Leia isn't the other hope, who might be? I think there are three candidates that we know of, with the potential of more that we don't, and those would be Kanan, Ezra, and Ahsoka. Of those three, I think the most likely would be Ahsoka, even though she's not a Jedi. No disrespect to Ezra and Kanan, but if anybody would have a hope of defeating Vader, it would be the one who knows him so well. Plus, I see Ezra and Kanan's story going in a different direction, something I'd like to do a video on in the future. Now, the last time we saw Ahsoka was at the end of Season 2 of Rebels after her duel with Vader, and we see her at the end seemingly walking down into the Sith Temple, and I would guess she's going in there to learn more about the dark side, so the next time she will be able to defeat Vader or Anakin, whatever she wants to call him. And here's where we can get a little fun. What if when she finally emerges from the temple, and let's say that happens between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in the timeline, she gets back into contact with the rebellion and learns they have a new Jedi named Luke Skywalker with them. Now, Ahsoka is obviously a smart woman and will likely be able to put it together that this is the son of Anakin and Padme. So what if she seeks out Luke and maybe even tells him about who his father used to be? This might help to explain why Luke is so strong in his belief during Return of the Jedi that there is still light in his father, because he has heard the stories about the man and Jedi he used to be. Keep in mind that at no point do we ever hear either Yoda or Obi-Wan say to Luke that it is his task to redeem his father and bring him back to the light, yet that's exactly what his plan is. Sure, he may be smart enough to realize he could never defeat Vader and the Emperor in battle, that something besides a straight-up fight is his best bet for victory, but he seems hell-bent on the fact that he can appeal to the other side of Vader or Anakin and bring him back to the light, one that Ahsoka may have told him about, otherwise he wouldn't know it even truly existed. And Ahsoka, now with a better understanding of the dark side after what she's learned in the Sith Temple, may even train Luke a little bit and give him lessons on how to tap into the darkness without letting it control or consume him. Why do I assume this and think this would even be a good idea? Well, keep in mind the first thing we see Luke do in Return of the Jedi is choke out 2 Gamorrean guards after entering Jabba's palace. Where did he learn how to do that? It certainly wasn't Yoda who taught him. And the way he does it, so calmly, shows that despite using a dark side power, he is still very much in control of his emotions. This could be because of Ahsoka's teachings. Then, at the end of Return of the Jedi, when Luke starts to go dark side on Vader and defeats him, he is able to pull himself back from the edge not only because of Yoda's warnings about it, but also because of Ahsoka's teachings about how to recognize and use the dark side without actually starting down that path. And how fitting would it be if Ahsoka, who was once trained by Anakin, trained Anakin's son and played a hand in bringing her old master back to the light? Could there be a better way for her story to end than that? And by end, I think she would have to die, maybe even giving her life to save Luke at some point. Sometime between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, I'd say. In my opinion, this would make for one hell of a novel, one where she could even show Luke how to construct a new lightsaber. Now, if you hate this idea, and no doubt some of you out there will, and I can completely understand that, just remember this is likely never going to happen anyway. I'm a pretty big purist myself when it comes to the original trilogy, and I don't like the idea of other stories coming along that tamper with it or change it, and I know there are others out there that feel the same, hence all the hate the special editions got. But the problem is the prequels created some inconsistencies that I would love to see fixed someday. This particular one, Obi-Wan seemingly not knowing about Leia, has always been by far the biggest one for me, and I'd love for it to be explained somehow, if not by this theory, then by something. And yes, there is a pretty big flaw with this theory. In Return of the Jedi, Luke asks Yoda straight up, "Is Darth Vader my father?" And when Yoda confirms it, Luke looks pretty shocked, as if he was still holding out hope that Vader had lied to him. However, it could just be the final nail in the coffin that makes Luke realize that yes, he is my father, that likely everything Ahsoka told me about him is true, and that in itself would cause a rush of emotions knowing there is no hope of escaping the truth anymore, or his destiny to face his father once more. Well, that's all I got for you this time. I'm actually very curious to see what others have to say on this matter, so much so that I may even do a follow-up video if I get enough comments about it, probably in about a week. I'm also going to set up a poll on my Twitter page where you can cast your vote on whether or not you'd be okay with them changing the other hope so that it no longer meant Leia and help save Obi-Wan from looking like a moron or just a forgetful old fool. So please, feel free to leave a comment and maybe I'll bring it up in the follow-up video, or cast a vote and let me know where you stand on this topic. Also, please subscribe to my channel and check out some of my other videos. If you're already a subscriber, then thanks for your continued support. And if you want to know when I upload the follow-up video, or any video for that matter, hit the notification button. And as always, thanks for watching.